Desire. A strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. Desire to work in the dirt with your bare hands. The virus causes distortion of the leaves. The leaves affect the people. The thieves take the people's desires. These phantoms cause a ruckus in the megacities of Japan. But who are these people? How do they take the hearts of big shots? Who are the Phantom Thieves? I welcome you to the Persona 5 Royal Retrospective, a series dedicated to extracting the ins and outs of the game that is Persona 5 Royal. To give some backstory, my affinity to the game all started after Kingdom Hearts 3. It was just after Joker had been announced for Smash Bros, and, I 100%ed Kingdom Hearts 3. I needed a new game. While I was first thinking of The World Ends With You, I also had Persona 5 in the back of my head. So I proposed to my friends a choice, and to an almost unanimous decision, Persona 5 prevailed. Hyped up, I began my journey in the original game. My experience with it would ruin this retrospective, so continuing on, after my 200 hours spent in, I had an impression left upon me that led me to later buy the version of the game coming out far later, March 31st, 2020 later. Yet the day fast approached, and with much more free time as at that time, for many reasons, I was easily able to play it. So came my journey again, which enticed my interest. So, let me reveal my true form. The game opens with a cutscene, laying out somewhat of what will come ahead. The vibrant stylistic choices are reminiscent of the tone in the game, and introduce the characters simply trading a heart. This is symbolic of the description later in the game, taking the hearts of corrupted adults, which everyone will very quickly come to realize. Kamoshida's disgusting trash dummy non-spoiler foreshadowing? Huh? It follows this up by them taking over the city, which is small beneath our party members, and even shows the new girl in Royal, Kasumi. Aside from that, the actual menu UI is introduced by the new grappling hook animation, with our silhouette of main characters. This introduction to the cast is obvious, yet is tremendously foreshadowing of the rest of the game. This slight nod to them, as well as the vibrant colors of this modernized Shibuya, hype up the story aspect, and the chill yet jazzy music really sets the tone for the game's introduction. The vibe is immeasurable. The beginning part of, spoiler, Thieves' Den, isn't too hidden, but hypes up the player to see what is behind the barrier later on. But what really ensues post-title screen influences the moody, intricate story that is to come in the introduction of the game. Hold on. These next few parts will genuinely get into the game UI and music. These parts are not exactly going to be the most spoiler-free. The first portion will introduce the introduction up to the first palace, but after that, it's all fair game when it comes to late and mid-game, even though many portions will not be 100% showcased. The more you watch, the more spoilers there will be. You have been warned. Also, this is an M-rated game, which is really quickly revealed by how sensitive the introductory topics are. You have also been warned again. If this is completely new to you, you'd be fine watching this, but I'll give warning if you get to late game stuff. Get warned again.
This story is a work of fiction.
A deep disembodied voice portrays, and introduces how deep this game will get. Something as simple as this seems like a slight introduction to your experience in the game, but surprisingly was put there for legal reasons. If you answer no, you go back to the title screen, but answering yes puts you into the introduction of you, also known as the main character. I doubt this is much of a spoiler, but your codename is Joker. Whoop-de-doo. You are a trickster, capable of changing the cognition of those around you. These special abilities are bestowed upon you as we pan into the casino under attack, and the camera follows a Poe-style, acrobatic, masked figure, tremendously reminiscent of a thief. And then boom, you're dropped in. The short intro of a rowdy casino accompanied by the slick transition into gameplay is just top-notch in my opinion. From the rafters you hear shadowed figures, each with a different voice, all telling you to move. This simple impression gives the feeling that you are stealing something from the security who also seems to be chasing you. After reaching a standstill by being cornered, the guards seem to melt and rejuvenate into humanoid monsters. They too have a mask, which the protagonist quickly rips off of one random guard. Again, the humanoid morphs into what is called a shadow, or basically a big ass demon. This quick change of pace throws you straight into the first instance of gameplay, which I'll go more in depth on in a later part. You seem to take out a familiar from D&D to do the attacking for you, fashionably named Arsene. Introducing the basics of turn-based gameplay, with a tremendously styled UI accompanied with an equally styled soundtrack had me in the vibe from the get-go. I'm usually against basic turn-based gameplay becoming super repetitive and overall draining, yet this one seemed to give off a different style. The menus were straightforward, the attacks were somewhat basic, and most importantly, it feels fast-paced. That was always my trouble with games like Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy, at least the original ones. The pacing feels off from the pressure of the moment, but somehow the first goon of Persona feels satisfying off the bat. It doesn't try to force you into tutorial straight away either, giving you a hint at what there is in the game without telling you straight off. Altogether, the first impression seems to leave quite a huge amount of excitement in the first few minutes. After conquering the introductory enemy, you're right back on the run in the semi-open area of the casino. You then begin to find more alleyways and guards around the corner with voices speaking to you more and more constantly. Entering this path gets you cornered again and introduces the grappling hook, which leads you to another point of a fight. Yet here we're introduced to another powerful being. We do not learn her name just yet, but her elegance gets us into a fight. The cutscene here is rather animated with 3D models used in the game, contrasting that of the anime style in the introduction. This style helped me to at least feel like I'm more in the middle of the action while not exactly playing. We then cleanly enter our second fight, where the party function and all-out attack are slightly introduced. This ends quickly with the ribbon girl being an absolute badass and allowing the protagonist to proceed, though we know not of his true intention just yet. You eventually hit the next cutscene, which is animated with as much appreciation as an anime like Kill la Kill. This helps to truly set the tone of what the game is. Though a scene like this was also seen earlier, the sprinkling of these helps to set different moods and change the emotional tone of each portion of the game. And somehow, it does this all within the first 5 minutes. Now tell me another game that does that so perfectly. And after a very stylish exit,
what a show off!
In this scene, our main character gets thrown into a huge group of police and undoubtedly gets arrested. But the cop seems to start with a satisfied tone, stating,
"You have your teammate to thank for this. You were sold out."
Now, this isn't really too spoilery for those who haven't played the game, but for those who have, pancakes. That's a spoiler. This intro continues by the protag being thrown into jail and passing all the basic insults that the cop says, "We are forced to sign our name," after being given a few dialogue options. Now, here you can go crazy, but this name, nor any name you make in the game, can be changed. This is used in every character's dialogue that requires it, so you should name yourself something like Renamamia, but if you want to be humorous and go all the way to be comedic, you can name yourself something like Ben Shapiro, Big Chungus, or yeah, that. Aside from that, we're introduced to Sai Nijima, the public prosecutor who has come to interrogate us. She's also one of my favorite characters, but I'll get into my real favorites when the time comes. Her strict personality is introduced by her call with the SIU director, and the simple conversations further enforced her pissed off attitude. She is vital to this game, and after introducing the basic idea of our crimes, we are transitioned into the head of Mr. Crime Teen, where a mysterious blue butterfly shows us the true rope the protag is standing upon. He must remember his past, which is a slick transition straight into the actual flashback, which includes the daily life of Mr. Joker from Smash, Persona 5. Again with the cutscenes! So good! Joker is put back into the actual world instead of being confined in a random interrogation room, but this is all seemingly a flashback. With how long he stays in the flashback, you'll eventually forget until the game constantly reminds you, then you'll still forget, so let's just say he's put in the past. Here we're introduced to the inciting incident, or should I say incidents. The mental shutdown cases. People all over Shibuya have been experiencing mental breakdowns, quickly followed by death, causing ruckus around the city. And surprisingly, all of this info is gained from 2 random girls talking in the metro. But that's not the only incident. The flashback within a flashy flashback flashbang! But before we get further into that scene, we're let off at Shibuya Station. But after taking out his phone and unknowingly opening a strange app, everything around Joker seems to freeze, and we get our first hint at the blue-flamed mysterious figure known as a persona. Then the world resumes, foreshadowing 100%, but yet again, not for now. Really, this game tells you New Game Plus is important. We next find Ren at Yongenjaya, looking for a man known as Sojiro Sakura, who has you live in the roof of his cafe, Café LeBlanc. This homely feel, along with the slick and casual theme of the music, gets the feels going. But here our backstory is revealed. Sojiro, who is acquainted with friends of your parents, agreed to take you in on probation for a serious crime you had committed. That night, a true rekindling happens, helping to make the player realize what had happened to this point. A random drunk bald man on the side of the street harassing an unknown woman, and out of pure reaction, you try to break it up. Well, this man, after yelling,
Damn brat! I'll sue!
ends your whole career. The woman agrees with this strange bald buffoon and frames you for assault, and the cops are always on his side for some strange reason. So boom, probation kicks you out of your hometown, and now you live right outside of Shibuya and in a cluttered, dusty attic of a simple coffee shop. As well as earlier, you get hinted into this weird app with an eye on it. It seemingly was installed without warning and cannot be uninstalled. So Joker's trying to delete it and seems to be unnecessary, but he does his best. This insights the later story, and this app will become tremendously important. At night, you're introduced to your powers that you have acquired. How? You're being kept in a jail cell by two small wardens, one who's quiet and one who's an annoying little piece of...
For real?
Here we meet some of the most important characters. From the Pinocchio lookalike named Igor with a notably deep voice, we learn we can harness the power of the wild card, as well as a persona with help of Caroline and Justine, the two prison guards. This velvet room we exist in is reminiscent of every title in the series, but in this iteration we're trapped by our own heart and must break free of these chains put upon us. Igor is still kinda like going on, a little bit silent after the basic explanation, but to sum it up, this velvet room exists between reality and the dream world, and only Joker can access it, only Joker knows about it. So pretty much it's where you can upgrade personas later on, but I digress, it's a decently cool intro. It felt really abrupt to put it in at this moment, but it's alright, I guess. The next day, Sojiro time and time again enforces how important it is that Ren is on probation. Okay, we get it, serious consequences, not lightly, life ruined, jail, the usual. And when you go to introduce yourself to Principal Kabaikawa and your homeroom teacher Miss Kawakami, they enforce it even harder. But something slips in Miss Kawakami's wallet. Woo! I love how much foreshadowing this game gives. This part in particular I won't be explaining for a while, so it's a slight nod to something later in the game. The game next introduces you to the one known as Kamoshida. The volleyball coach of Shujin Academy is known for getting an Olympic gold medal, and we find Kawakami with no hopes for Ren at all, though he's considered a problem student from the get-go. But why is Kamoshida here? Well, you can tell by Kamoshida's ass decides it's a good idea to spread a rumor around the school about this and truly enforces your situation. To everybody! Something as simple as inciting that has always piqued my interest. Connecting one more plot line or point of view adds a nice touch to any story. Kinda satisfying. After all that, we cut back to Sojiro and Joker in a car stuck in traffic. And guess what? Sojiro's a playa, and for the 50th time, we're on probation. This gets rather annoying, but after the first real portion of the game, which I'll cover soon, it disappears rather quickly. Around this time, we're also introduced to the SIU director and find Sai in the past hunting down the mental shutdowns and having the weight of the SIU completely on her shoulders. Also, the first hint of the best boy is right here, but I can tell you, sushi ain't it, chief. After deciding to go to bed after the game prevents you from cleaning your room for the 70th time, you try to delete the app again, and to no avail, so you just snooze again. The next day, you wake up to your first day going to school. These next few bits are literally the hardest in the game, because it's the Ginza line. Trust me, I've been to actual Shibuya. Ginza line is impossible to find, even if it's in a game, so this replicated it pretty well. I mean, Royal did kind of fix it a little bit by entertaining you as you're going through, and also introducing a bit of better signage, but I digress. But I don't usually pay attention to those, so, aside from that... As usual in a starting situation of an anime, rain happens. So while you're absolutely vibing leaning on a store's window, this blonde chick pulls up. Alright, anime scene per usual. After not being slick at all, this random teacher pulls up and asks if she wants a ride. She takes it, and he asks you, but voila, you say no. And as they pull away, you see this blonde get really sad. Seems something's a bit fishy. This is only confirmed when the blonde Chad, known as Ryuji, called Vulgar Boy here, pulls up running. Quick warning, it gets super sensitive at this part. After talking to Ryuji, you find out that Kamoshida is not only abusing his players physically, but may even be trying to get relations with actual students. After saying all this with your phone out in a random app you had earlier, both Joker and Ryuji get a pulse in their head. And after that, it puts you into the first dungeon, marking the end of the introduction. Altogether, this introduction is tremendously drawn out, which helps to flesh out the multiple perspectives that this game will offer. Tips of the reality the situation occur quite commonly, and it is truly enforced how bad the situation is for you. You see the first instances of the cockiness that Kamoshida has, and at the very beginning gives you not only a peek to the later in the game, but insight to the main story. Altogether, this introduction, though long, settles the player in with a sufficient amount of information to continue with the story. That's something this game does well, provide you context in the situations you were put into. The fact that you're not afraid to delve deep into sensitive topics also makes it seem more real, helping to really immerse the player. To finalize my opinion on this introduction, I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10 for inciting the main story. The game does have parts that seem more drawn out than they need to be, and though some of it is abrupt, keeps the player interested by inciting multiple points of view. A strong intro is nice, but the reason people get into the game usually stems from other reasons, such as style, seen in this game by the music and UI. Now here I'm going to put another quick spoiler warning, because I'm using gameplay here of late games, so although there aren't direct spoilers toward the story, some bits have already passed that could be a game changer for anyone wanting to go in completely spoiler free. We've already gotten this far, so most likely you've already decided if you want to go in completely spoiler free or not, or maybe you've just seen this already. I don't know, just know you've been warned. Because I want to cover so much of the music found in the game, which involves a lot more spoilers if you want to hear the music from the game itself, we'll cover the UI next. Don't let my digression undermine the beauty that is this UI. Simply the amazing interactions and sharp style that the title screen of all things has. As seen in many of the cutscenes in the intro, the vibrant reds clashing with the perfect whites and the deepest blacks is not missable anywhere in the entire game. God, I sound like Remy from Ratatouille. And rightfully so. The cheese portion of the cycling stars mixed with the street strawberry contrast of the bold font makes the taste buds, eyes glitter during a cutscene. When a dialogue option comes up, a portrait of Joker appears, and suddenly adds to the style by keeping a sharp look on the conversation options. Honestly, not much else to say about those, other than the music notes and stats for the confidants are really cool. The text messaging is pretty simple too, but the addition in the new red background of small icons of your friends does add a nice touch. The new photos in Royal make it feel more real too, but the cutscene, text, and log UI are nothing. Somehow the style, though kind of basic in cutscenes I will admit, evolves even further. The first third of the UI review I'll go over is battle UI, which honestly is the best part. The gunshot silhouette around the character, as well as the bright HP and SP bars, puts the character in question in the forefront. Something I keep bringing up is keeping you in the action, which this game does perfectly. While something like Dragon Quest has a separate box in the bottom left, the attack, persona, gun, item, and guard buttons are all presented in a fashionable way, keeping the focal point on the attacking character. This helps to emphasize the animations and put love into the battle command. The camera moves with the character as the move list is shown on the persona menu, which is both a mix of intricate and simple. The top shows your current persona, which you can switch on command most of the time. With how much I've spent playing this game, I still don't exactly know when it locks you into one persona, or if it's like a confidant ability, but when you can switch, all the statistics and moves of each persona are shown, allowing you to cycle through them with L1 and R1. Somehow this addresses everything it needs to and emphasizes the most important parts with black. In all honesty, this is the most cluttered screen in the game, and it's not even that bad. You also get a less developed screen like this when inspecting an enemy, which helps state everything you know about them, while either slight spoilery, Snecky Cat, or Girl at Hot Topic counter describes to you. Once you've picked a persona, the moves you can utilize are shown, and if any enemy is weak or exposed with a technical to a certain type of move, the game will show it. Each move has an element which corresponds to an enemy's weakness. To be brief, physical and gun are both a pale orange, symbolizing that they're usually more neutral, but stick mainly to the style of the game. Every other element, being Psi, Nuke, Ice, Electric, Fire, Wind, Curse, Bless, and all damaging almighty attacks, have a symbol next to each of their moves, addressing quickly with colors what to use. Status effects are symbolized by a purple splash, which will include things like dizzying, forgetfulness, despair, and other ailments. Stat increases or decreases are a little more abstract, being a dark blue square, yet get the job done by telling you which increase or decrease will happen on screen. This leads me to my next point, being the move is explained briefly in the menus mid-battle. Yet again, most turn-based games will be like, oh, well, here's the attack, you better know what it does. I don't know about you, but when I play games to chill, and I don't want to memorize flashcards on what each move does. This helps to quickly address that problem. In the order tab, you can rearrange party members, decide if you want them to act freely or not, and even like flee if you want to. It's pretty simple, and also addresses what it needs to. Going on to the items menu, instead of accessing a whole new screen for inventory, it's compacted into the side of the screen, and you can still see the action. Yet again, pretty simple, keeping you in the action. It still describes what the item does, and everything else is needed. Same with the gun menu, yet this differs in every character. After switching positions to aim, the menu not only shows you how much ammo is left by number, but sparks up on-screen bullets when you shoot, and shows each different ammo type. Little touches like this always makes me love a game more, and this is no exception. The closing to a battle is explosive, random, and straightforward. You see how much XP is earned and what items you gain, and how much moolah you required in a simple, stylistic way. Man, I love all these small details. Heading away from the battle screens, the pause menu, though you would think is basic, is by far the most stylish part of the whole UI. To cover some basics, the persona menu is pretty much the same as the stats menu in game. Nothing much to say about that. Same with items. items, though the party member stats are shown in the side in case you want to use heals. Nice touch with the minimalist personality shown in these small widgets, which was first seen in the healing skills menu. They're only further developed in the stats menu, showing everything exact about the characters and their personas, with a nice touch of art, baton pass rank, and little shrines next to who they can showtime with. The calendar is pretty straightforward, showing you any of the important dates up to that point, and in red shows you all the days that you're out of school. This part's pretty basic in all honesty, and I don't use it at all. Requests found in Mementos, the constant randomized palace shown in this gameplay, also have their own segment here, showing which requests you've taken down, what's linked to a confidant, and who is still needing to be found or defeated. Honestly, a nice checklist to keep track of what you've completed, and I've used this portion more than I'd like to admit. Equip is also a portion I visit quite often, but this is more justifiable. Here you change the armor, weapons, accessories, and even costumes of the characters. This changes gameplay-wise a ton of things, allowing you to add stats, extra damage, extra defense, or change the background music. This flows well and still keeps the style. Something cool about the costumes, as I mentioned earlier, the background music changes if your costume changes, but only Joker's costume. Aside from the cosmetics, accessories can also add moves to the party members, specifically from will seeds, which I'll delve into later. This allows you to truly customize the experience, especially with DLC. Next up, my personal favorite menu in the game, the confidant list. Though I don't find myself utilizing this for its main purpose, the amazing utilization of art and small summaries have me enticed for a good while longer than I think it should have. I love the little summaries that change after every rank, and honestly the art by far is my favorite part. While we can see the confidant's abilities here, I find it useful mainly for keeping track of where you are with every character. Debatably more than the function right before continuing a confidant. It helps to say how far you are to maxing them out, and if you're using guides, which I totally never done, helps you to pin down where you need to look. Honestly, this menu is too good for its own good, and the constant change is phenomenal. The last one here, other than Thieves' Den, which is irrelevant for most of the game, and which I'll cover down the line, is System. Here it includes an option to read the story up to this point, which is kinda cool, see tutorials, which is sorta useful, and get access to a new config for your specific save. The transitions here have an Easter egg where Joker will crash into the screen instead of being slick. Nice to mention. You can also save at certain points here or load data if need be. You can also return to the title, but genuine question, whoever actually does that. The final portion of the UI I want to cover shortly is the UI that's most obvious throughout the game, the HUD around you. In the top left you see the date accompanied with a small icon to show you the weather. This is an honest and nice touch and addresses all that it needs to in a simple way. To the top right we see the more complicated side, the goals. Here's where your latest task and timing for the palaces are seen, each one having a huge number telling you to hurry up or giving you security that you have a few more days to try and get a confidant up. Yet again, addressing what it needs to. The extra small details below it go more descriptive on your task at the current moment and are also a nice touch. In a palace you also get to see the security level, which just don't get it to 100 and you're perfectly fine. This is customized for each palace too, so it's pretty nice. In summary, the UI is a stylish sight to behold. It includes so many extra little bits and bobs that complement the style of the game. Altogether, I would have to give the UI a 9 out of 10 for its style and slightly direct approach. Somehow mixing in the widgets and descriptions while being concise enough as to not confuse new players is completely top notch. I've never seen such a stylish UI that works so well. But what else works so well and is definitely 10 times more stylish? The perfect, jazzy, and overall amazing soundtrack that this game has. Now, while I would want to review every single track, I'll cover some of the random instrumentals, then I'll go into the ones that everybody's heard mentions of, the lyrical songs. I'd first like to start off by mentioning 3 of the non-lyrical songs that I associate with confidants, those being Tei, Awai, and Maruki. Starting off with Tei's theme, Butterfly Kiss. Her doctor's office somehow has a song that's a homely feel, it has such a difference from a place like LeBlanc that the music here fits with the doctor's office, yet doesn't sound like a boring old waiting room. Here's a taste. It honestly sums up Tei's intentions, and the music review here is basic, but I love it. To be honest, I don't really have a deeper meaning to this, I just kind of like it. Now, for one that I genuinely love and listen to too much, a wise layer cake. Honestly, just listen. The mysterious attitude really enforces the atmosphere of the gun store. Who else is gonna compliment shotguns with a cat scarf and slick man behind this counter? The sort of deeper tones compared to that of Tei really influences what the player may think of Awai at first, and honestly nets a good first impression for his character. The last character-bound track I want to review is the newest one from Royal, being none other than Maruki, the chillest song in the game. Here's a peek. Man, this theme hits directly on his laid-back personality and really sums up his confinement pretty well. Just know every level you get on his confinement will in fact have this song playing. Get ready for some good vibes. Now that you can tell I'm not the best music genius, and probably that I won't need to be, let's get into the actual gameplay music. One of my favorites is the class finals theme, which, let's be honest, you heard accompanied with a game guide by your side. I digress, this track is really hyped up for what it is, and gets me into a mood that I didn't even know I had. A mood to research. Here's a portion of it. You can tell the jazzy theme is whack, but it hits differently than some other tracks. Another one of my favorites is the heartfelt confession seen in many confinement pathways. Here's some. However this game does it, it hits the mood it needs to, and really gets you feeling for the characters. I could further enforce with New Beginning. This one you just need to listen to. You know, let's just vibe for a minute. I genuinely adore this track way too much. The atmosphere is immeasurable, and it really gets you connecting to the happy emotions of the party members. Even a track like What's Going On, playing after multiple activities that may seem tedious, is quite nice. See? These really hit the emotions that make the soul feel good. Heading away from the calm ones, there's your palace themes, that in all honesty, are the most memorable by all means. Even the 6th palace is lyrical, so I'll just cover that in a minute. But for now, the introductory palace theme, King, Queen, and Slaves. See the strange atmosphere that really incites the mystery into the soul? Now if you thought that was good, just you wait. After reaching a level in Mementos, the constant dungeon in the game, the catchy part introduced in Royal keeps the atmosphere somehow interesting. Now compare this to this. I think it's evident which Mementos theme is better. Both achieved their goal, but the new Royal theme hits harder and really entices the player even more than the game already has. One palace theme that everybody always brings up is When Mother Was There, seemingly a fan favorite from the 4th palace. The strange tomb that this palace is only reinforced by this theme. These tracks all have a jazzy trend to them, and even one of the climactic palace's themes, seen significantly later in the game, has this trend too. This song mentioned, known as Arc from the 7th palace, has such an atmosphere to it that it feels cinematic. Let me play some. Man, the extravagance of this palace and the sheer size is enforced by this theme. It really archives the vibe perfectly. This is in my top songs when reading palace themes, but surprisingly not at number 1. Now, what could possibly be number 1? None other than the good heist theme itself, Price. This one you seriously just have to listen to. Oh my god, the hype. This palace, though considered to be average by most people, ends up being near the top for me, specifically because of this theme. A tad bit of spoilers, but this palace is a bank, and the robbery idea mixed with the track puts you straight into the action of this palace, and by god, does it do it well. We've gone through all the non-lyrical songs, and now it's time to get into the best part of Persona, Lynn's top-notch singing. The jazzy style, accompanied with her voice, makes the game's atmosphere even better, and honestly, you just need to listen to it. The first one I'm gonna play for you all today is the entire reason I had Persona in my head. The original battle theme, Last Surprise. Take a listen.
As I look to the horizon, not a cloud, but then stormy weather's go too cold. Seems like it breaks up out of nowhere, all around you is not what you foretold. You never see it coming. You see that my mind is.
How can a song this well made be used as a battle theme? The world may never know, but man will I appreciate this. The game would not be the same without a battle theme like this that makes me always want to keep going. This is only further reinforced by the new ambush theme in Royal, titled Takeover. Take my word, and just listen.
We're rolling deep into your underground creek, though the center prior notice called for you. We wanna make this party you don't wanna skip. Gonna be a show to remember.
I don't know about you, but even though I prefer Last Surprise, this song is a goat. The next song on this list is one you'll find the most in the game, being the one and only Beneath the Mask. This may already sound familiar even. You see, the vibe, yet again, is immeasurable. I love this balance of a solemn and happy tone, and this really hits the effect of evening hard. I love everything about it.
Where have you been searching all along, confessing twilight on and on, without a clue, without a sign, without grasping it. The real question to be asked, where have I been? I'm a sharpshooter at those masquerade.
Now, as promised, the 6th Palace theme, Whims of Fate. May I just say, prepare yourself.
Champagne floated, dinner suicide. Keep your bomb blast away from her chitting hands. Tell me that's that sexy. Gonna say what she's got in store for her man. So we roll the dice, see what they may fall. Come on, why don't we spin the wheel? See who it may call. Give in to temptation.
This amazing hype really hits the casino vibe perfectly. It makes you keep going through the 6th Palace. Though this isn't a personal favorite of mine, it's still top notch. But one of my personal favorites is actually the boss theme, titled Rivers in a Desert. Now, prepare to be pleased.
It's now or it's never, and I've got to make my decision. This time it could be my moment. Is this a mirage or a chance to fulfill my mission? A river in a dry land, the left is in a lost end, a heartbeat for a demon, oasis in a strange land.
Man, this really really tells you the circumstances are tight and unavoidable in a super stylish way. Out of everything I've covered, the music is by far the most biased portion and the hardest to explain. I know I left out a ton, but I can't cover it all here. I will cover it later. I would personally say the tones are hit perfectly, and if not perfectly, the tones are definitely hit. I think many people could agree with that. Mixing in my personal music taste and the overall distribution of these songs found within the game, music gets my 10 out of 10. There's only 2 tracks in the game that I can say off the top of my head that are bad. Only 2 out of the hundreds! Now, while games have good soundtracks and OSTs, this one by far secures my favorite of all time. This jazzy punk feel is satisfying no matter where you are in the game. To say it's beautiful is a tremendous understatement, and you have my word. I adore this music, and trust me, this review, I can't do enough justice towards it. The main portions of the game that most people will see coming into Persona 5 Royal are obviously going to be the introduction, music, and menus. Somehow all these hit the top-notch ranks and entice any JRPG or anime fan alike. Even PlayStation is offering the original Persona 5 for free on PlayStation 5. Man, it just only proves the innocence and beauty of the game that is Persona 5, and Persona 5 Royal making it better is almost as impossible as a normal thief sprouting wings. But the amount of love, criticism, and speculation that this game has intrigued me to speak of has almost become part of my personality. I digress. The deep and loving effort put in this game can easily be seen through the 3 topics of this video. I genuinely enjoy every time I get to speak about this. It's a privilege. With that, I close this episode of Persona 5 Royal Retrospective. May your heart be your guiding key. I mean, for real?